Two OpenTX settings that can make your flying better. Number 1, disabling the ADC filter. Number 2, setting your endpoints and midpoints correctly on your transmitter. If you just said, I know exactly what this guy is talking about, well, that's great. You can skip to the next video. If you didn't, let's get into it. Okay, so what does the ADC filter do? It basically takes the analog signal from the sticks and it does a bit of smoothing and averaging on that signal before it's converted to digital to be sent through the air to the receiver. Now, on an aircraft, that's what you want for an aircraft receiver. You want all that done on the transmitter because the aircraft receiver is very basic. It doesn't do any processing of the signal. However, on a drone, we've got a flight controller, we've got a processor, we've got a PID loop running, we've got everything we need on there to actually process this signal. And if you do the processing of the signal and smoothing of the signal on the transmitter before it's sent to the drone, it can actually cause problems with spiking in the feed forward loop. And that's why we want the raw signal to be sent from the transmitter to the drone, and the flight controller on the drone will take care of smoothing the signal and doing everything it needs to do. Okay, so let's have a look at how we disable this on the transmitter. On the transmitter, it's easy to do this. In OpenTX, we simply go across to the transmitter menu. So we're just going to go across here until we get to the hardware screen. And on the hardware screen, we're going to come down. It might be easier to go up from the bottom. Okay, here it is here. ADC filter, that one there. So we just uncheck that. And then push the back button, and that's all there is to it. Now you don't have to do this for each model. This is a transmitter based setting. So once you've done that, you create a new model. You don't have to do it again. It's all done. The only time you do have to do it again is when you update your firmware on your transmitter. Then you'll have to go back and uncheck that again. The next thing we're going to do is set the endpoints and midpoints correctly. But before we do that, there's two settings we need to do on the transmitter. We need to set the extended limits, and then we need to check that all the trims are centered. Let's have a look at that. Now, extended limits are specific to each model you have on your transmitter. So we're going to go into the model menu, and you have to do this for each model. We're going to go across, we get to the setup menu right here. And then we're just going to go down. Now, if you have, depends on the transmitter you have, they may be called extended limits, or they may just be called E-limits. For the micro transmitters, so they're going to be called E-limits. And we're just going to put a checkbox there and make sure they're enabled. And push back and back again. Okay, the next thing you need to look at is your trims. Right, let's just have a look at, see this trim here. Okay, this trim is off center, so we need to set all of your trims center. Okay, so with the drone, we don't do trimming. It's all handled by the flight controller. So with those two settings set up, we're now ready to go on and set endpoints and midpoints. Now your flight controller expects to receive values from the transmitter from 1000 to 2000. What this means is, for example, the yaw fully to the left is going to be a value of 1000. Fully to the right is going to be a value of 2000. So this is what we need to set up on the transmitter, so we're sending the correct values. First of all, we're going to need to power the drone on, power up your flight controller, so I'm plugging in the 5 volts. If your receiver needs a battery to connect to actually work, then you need to connect your battery. So once we've done that, we'll jump into Betaflight and have a look at the settings. So in Betaflight, let's just connect. And as soon as we connect, we'll come down here to the receiver tab. And if I move the sticks, you can see the bars moving there. So the one we're going to focus on for this example is yaw. So it's this one here. Okay. And if we move that all the way to the left, so what the flight controller is expecting to see is a value of 1000. And if we look at this value here, we can see it's 1013. Okay, if we push it all the way to the right, this is supposed to be a value of 2000. And we're getting 2001, 2003 around about there. Okay, our midpoint is supposed to be 1500 to 1502. Okay, so this is what we need to change. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come over here. And we're going to keep on going to the right until we get to the input screen. Now on the input screen, you've got channels 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously. And if we take a look at Betaflight, the way mine is set up, it's TAER 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we look at yaw is here, and it's actually rudder. So yaw is rudder, and rudder is R. So we can see it's the 4th channel. We just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we look back at our transmitter again, we're coming down here to the 4th channel, and that's the rudder. Okay, this is how you work out which channel is which. So we can actually go edit. Okay, so with 3 settings we're looking at. There's sub trim, there's min, and there's max. So we're going to work on min first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rudder stick, I'm going to pull it all the way to the left. So this should be 1000. If we look at Betaflight, we're getting 1013. So now on the transmitter, we're going to actually go into this, and we're going to start changing this. Okay, let's have a look if I go this way. If I go -99, I'll move the mouse there so you can see. Okay, so you can see we're going worse. We're going down to 1024. Okay, so we just come back the other way. Okay, and as I keep coming back here, you can see that's getting closer to 1000. I'm holding my yaw stick all the way to the left. And we'll get to a point here, it seems to be bouncing. Just go up a little bit. And it seems to be holding pretty steady at 1000. So we'll set that there. And if you look at the transmitter, it's 102.5. Okay, let's go the other way. Let's push the stick all the way to the right. And on the transmitter, we're coming down here and going to our max setting. Okay, it's going to go back there. Max seems to be okay now. Could be 2001. Okay, we could go down just a little bit. There we go. We're sitting at 2000. Okay, so that's our min and our max set. Okay, next thing we want to do is set the midpoint. So we've got the stick in the center there, and the midpoint, if we look at the transmitter, we come up here to sub trim. Now this one here, is bouncing between 1500, 1502. So if we just bring the sub trim down 0.2, I'll keep on going down so you can see it change there. If we look at it here in Betaflight. Okay, if I keep on going down, you see it's going below 1500. So I'll come back up again. I think 0.2 was the sweet spot there. And at 0.2 on the transmitter, it's showing exactly 1500. Okay, so there we go. We've set our minimum, we've set our maximum, and we've set our center point. And we can go back out, and we can now do the other 3 channels exactly the same. Okay, so with that done, there's one more setting we need to do, and that's a Betaflight setting. We're going to set the low stick threshold and the high stick threshold. Let's do that now. Back in Betaflight, we just connect. And we're going to come down here to the receiver tab once again. And the setting is over here on the right hand side. It's called low stick threshold and high stick threshold. Now this relates to the throttle stick. So basically there's 2 values that we're going to set here. For the low stick threshold, it's going to be 1010. So we just type that in. And for the high stick threshold, it's going to be 1990. So we set those 2 values, save that, and we're done there. There we go, it's all done. But I've got one more bonus tip for good flying: calibrate your gyro. Let's have a quick look. And that's done right on the setup tab here. Basically what you do is you put your drone flat on a flat surface and just come straight up to the top here and calibrate accelerometer. Okay, you can see that it's leveling it out there. Okay, and now we're all good to go. So there we go. 2 things to remember. When you flash new firmware to your transmitter, disable your ADC filter. And when you set up a new drone and make a new model profile, make sure you set your endpoints and center points correctly. Until next time, happy flying.